Hello, welcome back to EHC Voice. Today's podcast we will be discussing climate change and its effect on the global and local scale. We will cover the important figureheads in this climate change movement as well as the various effects it has on our environment. Now I'm passing on to Zakia and she'll talk about UK companies and their effect on climate change.
The UK bringing emissions down 44% overall between 1990 and 2019 and two-thirds in the power sector. The UK continues to break records in renewable electricity generation, which has more than quadrupled since 2010, while low-carbon electricity overall now gives us 50% of our total generation. In a crisis, everyone had joint effort. Climate change is no exception. The planet's carbon budget is finite out. That means transforming energy, transport and industry. The sectors accounting for approximately 70% of global emissions. Companies like Equinor, Enel and Scottish Power are transforming to meet demand for lower carbon energy, backing these companies that are transitioning in every bit as important as backing green companies.
One of the most prevalent climate change activists is Greta Thunberg. She's a 19-year-old activist from Sweden and is known for starting a school strike for climate change outside the Swedish parliament. She demanded that the government reduce carbon emissions in accordance with the Paris Agreement, and she protested by sitting outside parliament every day during school hours. Another prevalent figure is Catherine McKenna. Catherine McKenna entered office as the first female member of parliament for Ottawa, sent a seat in the Canadian Parliament in 2015 and was appointed for Minister of Environment and Climate Change soon afterwards. Another prevalent figure is David Attenborough. David Attenborough is a renowned British broadcaster and is known for his programme Blue Planet. It highlights the issues of plastic and is considered a catalyst for the Environmental Audit Committee's creation of plastic bottles. Some legislation that was introduced in the UK, a part of the 2008 Climate Change Act, was to put carbon budgets on various products sold in the UK, and this aims to achieve net zero emissions by 2050.
We would now like to go into our second segment on today's podcast, where our students will answer the question, how can we save the planet?
Buy less plastic, so when you're getting like food and stuff like that, try not to use plastic items, and you can also use reusable shopping bags or tote bags when you're out shopping, because that just reduces waste.
And what about you, Blessing?
I think littering as well. Littering is a big issue, so kind of decrease our littering. And I also think reuse things, as Joseph has already mentioned, reuse things that we already have instead of constantly buying new things and buying plastic when we can just reuse whatever we have.
A large part of the economy is mass producing clothing. How do you think we can prevent this?
So I think we're all a bit guilty of like going out just buying loads of clothes just because you like them, but you could reduce your shopping habits by going out less, and when you do go out, buy less, and like go to vintage clothing stores if you're buying clothes, because there's loads of really nice vintage stores in town that are affordable and really stylish. And also, when you're looking at an outfit, think about if you're going to wear it 30 times, and if you're not, maybe don't buy it because it's not going to be worth the money or the environment.
Love that. What can we do as humans to save the ecosystem and wildlife?
Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting question, because what we tend to fail to understand is that the earth is like the habitat of animals. So what is having a massive impact is like their lifestyle and them in general. So I think decreasing also our use of cars. Cars emit a lot of pollution in the atmosphere. And just using other things as the means, so like a carpool or walk or ride a bike or etc. And also replanting a lot, because there's a lot of deforestation that's going on, but actually replanting what we are taking in our society, and also taking out garbage out of water, because that affects animals in the sea. Just doing our part as humans.
All right, and finally, how do you think we can save the planet in 60 years' time?
So I think we need to completely convert from plastic to paper and other materials, because that'll pollute the planet less.
Blessing, what about you?
Yeah, just as Joseph said, kind of just moving away from plastic into like paper. We see like McDonald's and a lot of fast food are starting to use paper instead of plastic, and as we said already, kind of reuse what we already have instead of always buying new stuff or like buying plastic. Finding an alternative to drive cars, or also switching from like a petrol cars to like automatic cars, because that's what it's gonna kind of decrease what we emit in society and the world in general.
Welcome to the final section of our podcast today. Here we've got 3 students that would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Neve and I'm in year 13.
Hi, I'm Finn and I'm in year 12.
Hi, I'm Sam and I'm in year 13.
Today I'd like to ask the students what we could do to improve our carbon footprint. First, I'd like to hand over to Neve. What do you think we could do?
I think that we could use more eco-friendly systems, for example using plates instead of the boxes for the food that's being ordered on the Breeze app from the kitchens.
What about you, Finn?
I think we could encourage the students to reuse their plastic bottles that they buy from places like Costa and the kitchen as well. Because bottles take up quite a lot of plastic pollution, it'd be much easier just to reuse them as well, since we do have water fountains in and around college.
And finally, Sam, what are your opinions?
Well, I'm not sure how feasible this is, but I think we should be creating a college greenhouse. The college don't really have to run it. It can be run by students as part of an enrichment. And I really think that growing our own fruit and veg, it really helps reduce the carbon footprint, and we could create compost with the uneaten fruit and veg, which will help reuse wasted food, which will help overall reduce carbon footprint.
Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. I'd like to thank all the students today for their thoughts on climate change and what we could be doing more to save our planet. Please listen in to next week's podcast, where we'll be discussing the topic of understanding Islam.